Hey, what's going on, everyone? Your boy Manny here once again. Welcome back to another episode of DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NFL, NBA, WNBA, and MLB. And of course, like always, guys, I appreciate you drop a like on the video. And if you have not subscribed yet to the channel, please do so down below. And do not forget to turn on those notifications. This way you do not miss any of my new uploads. With that being said, today is Saturday, June 16th, 2018. We have another 3-game slate on tap for the WNBA. We have Atlanta, Indiana, New York at Minnesota, and Connecticut at Phoenix. We're going to jump right into it. Atlanta and Indiana are facing each other again. They just played the other day, and it was a 72-67 win for Indiana. I expect this game to be no different. Competitive game. It's probably a game that you can definitely, like I said the other day, you can definitely approach this game as a game stack. So just to get that out in the air right away, you definitely have some decent guards here at a decent price, and at the same time you have some pretty good forwards as well, which are not really pricey. We're going to take a look at all the numbers and everything. We'll start off with the implied totals for this game. I do have for Atlanta and Indiana. I do not have at the moment, don't have one for Connecticut and Phoenix, because Connecticut is just finished wrapping up tonight, so they are going to be on a back-to-back. But Atlanta, Indiana, implied totals 150.5, and they have Atlanta favored by 5.5, visiting Indiana. Some of the team's statistics here, straight up and down. Atlanta, you know, they're last in scoring at 74.8 points per game. They're second in the league in offensive pace at 85.2, sixth in the league in defensive pace at 80.6. They're fourth in rebounds, which is a good one to know, 36.3, 16.3, ninth in assists. They're first in steals, 8.4 per game, third in blocks, 4.7 a game. PPF 2s, they're 60.2, that's third best, and PPF 3s, they're near the bottom, 11th. Indiana kind of balances out pretty much in some areas. They're pretty much the same. Points 76.8, that's 11th in the league. They're 10th in the league in offensive pace at 77.9. They're 7th in defensive pace, 81. They are 7th in rebounds, 34.1 per game, 10th in assists, 16.1 a game, 11th in steals, 9th in blocks with 3.3, 5th in PPF 2 with 59.1, and then they're 7th in PPF 3s with 23. So when we look at that, obviously, I'm looking at the numbers. Rebounding, steals, and blocks really favor a lot Atlanta, being fourth, first, and third in the league. So they're really in the top 5 in those 3 categories, rebounding, steals, and blocks, and those are big fantasy points. Just to point out, these are some of the things I look at to, you know, get myself to figure out what lineups or which individuals I may be looking at. So we're looking at here right away: Bria Hayes, McCourtry, Ms. Williams. These are the top girls that are rebounding, are blocking shots, and are actually getting some steals per game. They're the top 4 girls. So when you're looking at Atlanta, you're definitely looking at targeting those 4, and actually McCourtry and Hayes are 2 of the top scorers. So now you get into also the points too. So this is a good game to gauge. You know, again, you can really stack this game 4 or 5 players easily. I just happened to have the wrong 2 or 3 the other day. I didn't have Tiffany, while I only had Kelsey, and obviously the best bet was to have both Mitchell girls, which I did recommend, but I didn't actually put in my lineup. But anyway, let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the numbers of the girls. I mean, Tiffany Hayes here is on top. Obviously, she is the top guard here in this particular game. She also is one of the top guards in the league. She's averaging 19 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals. She is shooting at a 43.4% clip from the floor and 27.5% from 3. She is the top guard for Atlanta, and I expect her to play fairly well in this game. First time out the other night, she had played 36 minutes excuse me, she had put up a 36 spot, as you can see here, 36.5 in 35 minutes. Her usage rate was, outstanding, almost 38%, 6 of 18. She did miss all 8 of her threes, which is a shock. She probably won't do that again. 11 of 15 from the floor, from free throw line. She had 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. She did it all. I mean, and she's in a favorable matchup here again today as we go to the cruncher, like always. She definitely has 40-point upside. She's facing a 4th-ranked defense of Indiana, but as you can see, she put up 36 the other day. She's more than capable. So at that price at $6,600, you need 33, and she is 30. She could get you there. I think she'll get there again tomorrow. I definitely like Tiffany Hayes here. I think she's in a good spot, and she already has faced this team. Next here on the hill is Tiffany Mitchell. The 2 Mitchell girls did fairly well the other night. Tiffany had a better night, and obviously that's why she's a little bit ahead here. She's $100 more than Kelsey. Tiffany Mitchell, $5,600. You need about 21 to meet value, and she's averaging 22, so she's definitely in a good spot already. We'll go right to the cruncher and take a look at her a little bit more. She's facing a 9th-ranked defense, defending against guards, so she's definitely in a very good position here, facing Atlanta. She put up a 21 spot with Atlanta the other day, 28% usage rate, 34 minutes, 3 of 12. Didn't shoot particularly well. She missed all 3 of her threes, and she was only pretty much like 30% from the floor. And she still put up 13 straight-up points with 1 block. So, I mean, I expect her to have a bounce back, a better game today, but she did play well enough the other night for the GPP, for both Mitchells to do well and actually be in the winning lineup. I mean, she obviously did very well. So Tiffany Mitchell, yeah, good position here. She's in a favorable position here as far as defense-wise. Remember, DVPs don't always, work, and sometimes I'd be honest with you, about maybe 30% of the time I actually go against them. I look at other areas of the matchup, and I think that's something that everybody should look at. And at the same time, I pretty much try to share with you all those little tips. So definitely listen into the videos very closely on a regular basis, and you'll get some of this stuff. Unless you really look over the videos several times, you'll understand some of the areas I look at to try to narrow down my decisions here. Kelsey Mitchell also still in play. She's the rookie, 2nd overall pick, as we know already. 5,500. You need 20. I would say you need about 22 from her there. I mean, you actually need like 27, and she's pulling in 23. She did have that dull game the other day, only 13.3 fantasy points in 25 minutes. I expect a bounce back game from her. She's still in a very good position here, as we already know. They're facing a 9th-ranked defense of Atlanta. So Kelsey Mitchell, to me, is definitely in play. These guards here are all pretty good. I really like Tiffany Hayes the most here out of all of them. Erika Wheeler is also another one, 5,000. You need 25. She's pulling in 19. Let's see what she did in the last game. 24 minutes, 21 fantasy points. She played very well. She had a lot of assists. She dished the ball well that day. 5,000, I mean, man, I don't know. Again, it's tough here, man. They got 3 decent guards here with Indiana. I think Tiffany is priced just right. I think Tiffany is the one that's going to probably have the better game. If I am to stack anybody here in this game, I definitely like the 2 girls on top, Tiffany Hayes and Tiffany Mitchell. Not so much pairing one of the teammates. But again, you could pair up the 2 Mitchell girls. You should be okay. And I would say Hayes with Montgomery. Montgomery, now with Sykes hurt, she's definitely going to get more time on the floor. So she will not be a bad play. Going back to Kelsey's numbers, 17.4 points per game, 2.2 assists a game, 40% from field goal. She's shooting 40% from the floor and 39% from 3, so she's doing well there. And Tiffany is 10.8 points per game, 3.3 rebounds, 3.1 assists, and 1.1 steals. So she's doing well as well. We go to Renee Montgomery, and she's probably the only. She's probably one of the last two I'm gonna look at here in this particular game. Renee Montgomery, 4,800. You need I would say you need about 24 from her, and she's bringing in 17.5. Not quite there for me, but she is getting the minutes. And if she continue to get these minutes, and she could just get a couple more shots, I think now with Miss Brittney Sykes out, she may get a little bit more. She's getting the minutes. She just needs to be a little more aggressive and get some more shots off. She might be able to help out Miss Hayes, her teammate, a little bit. But I still expect Tiffany Hayes to be the one in charge here in the guard position for Atlanta. So I think she's still the best player at 6,600. Coming down a little further here, Clarendon might get some run here, due also to the fact that Miss Sykes is hurt. She did play 19 minutes and 21 over the last two, and actually 18 through 21 minutes over the last 3 games. She played her best game in the last game against this team, Indiana. 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 23.1 fantasy points. That's more than 1 fantasy point per minute. As you know, I love that. I love to see that. No matter how many minutes you play, I mean, if you can actually equal that in fantasy points, that is fantastic. That's exactly what we need. So, yeah, Miss Clarendon is definitely in play. I'm not on Victoria Vivian's on this particular game. Let's go over the forwards. Definitely like the forwards here. Atlanta definitely has a nice group of forwards with Breland, McCourtry, and, of course, Miss Elizabeth Williams. They're all up there. McCourtry on top here, 7,500. You need about 37. She's averaging 32. She's pulling in 15.8 points, 6.3 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 1.8 steals. She's shooting 39% from the floor. And the last time she played this team, she put up a 31 spot. We'll go over here to the cruncher to see it a little bit better. And here she goes. She's facing the #1 defense against the bigs in Indiana, and she put up a 31, almost 32 spot on them in 29 minutes. So that was definitely a very productive game, even though, as you can see here, she only hit 4 of 11 from the floor, but that usage rate was pretty good, 28%. She had 4 rebounds, 4 assists, had 2 steals as well. As I told you before, she's in that category for a big girl. She steals, she rebounds, she blocks shots. So she does a little bit of everything. I like her here. I definitely like her here. She would be one that I would stack if I'm going to do a game stack here. She would definitely be in my lineup with her teammate here, Miss Breland. Breland, 7.7 points per game, 9.3 rebounds. She's right in the top, as far as rebounds in the league. 2.2 assists, 1.6 steals, and she's at 1.5 blocks. I mean, shooting over 45% from the floor. 29 spot in the last game in 31 minutes, almost nearly 1 point a minute. 24.4 usage rate. 3 of 10 was only 30% from the floor, but she did all the other stuff. 1 block, 1 steal, and then she had 13 massive rebounds. So, I mean, that's what she does best, as you can see. So, rebounding, she's up there, one of the best. So, I like her here. She's in a good spot as well. You know, I don't care if they're facing a #1 defense, but when you're looking at McCourtry, Breland, okay, and Miss Elizabeth Williams, and then you look on the other side, and you really only have to worry about, you know, Candice Dupree and of course Natalie, which, you know, they are not any pushovers. That is not too bad because their numbers are pretty similar. I think they actually balance themselves out well here in the rebounding between the two teams. So McCourtry's in play, Jessica Breland is in play. It's all a matter of how much you want to play, if you want to pay the price. 7,100 for Breland, 7,500 for McCourtry. But then you got Candice Dupree for Indiana, good spot as well, 6,300. All right, we look at Candice. She's right here. She's facing the 8th ranked defense. So as far as DVP, you say to yourself, hey, you know what? She's in a better position. She's facing the 8th ranked team, but Atlanta, I'm telling you, those front girls, those front 3 right there, they're really, really tough. She put up a 34 spot, almost a 35 in the last game. At 6'3", you need you need about 31, 32, and she's averaging 31 pretty much right now. So, I mean, she's priced just about right, and she's in a favorable spot here facing the 8th ranked defense. So if you want to look at it that way, she definitely has a shot to get 34, 35 again. All right. She has 40-point upside. So, I mean, you know, there is a possibility. You could go with Candice Dupree. If you want to save some money, if you want to save from Breland, then you're looking at $800 cheaper to get Candice. And there's nothing wrong with going with Candice and Natalie, but I think a matchup of using Angel or Jessica, one of the two, maybe more so Angel, and throwing in there Natalie or Candice Dupree and doing a game stack here using those two that I just mentioned, you'll be in very good shape, because Natalie went off the other day while she was up against Aja Wilson, and it was a massive game. You know, she put a 52 in that game. So Natalie's in a good spot. She put a 30 spot, almost a 31 spot. Not bad at all. 28 minutes. That is more than 1 fantasy point per minute, which I love. 4 of 6 from the floor. She had 9 rebounds, 2 of them offensive, which is nice to see. She had 3 steals and 1 block. She had a nice game, and she had a beautiful game prior to that. So she's actually been playing a lot better. I was definitely fading her a couple of times in previous games. I'm not gonna shortchange her here in this matchup. Her price is a little up. You need to get about 30, and she's averaging 24. But as you can see in her last 2 games, she has met that value. So I think she has a shot here to get it done. I would not be at all upset with anybody if you chose to go with Natalie and Candice Dupree and then fade Angel and Jessica in this matchup, considering the Indiana lost the first time around the other day. They may want to bounce back here, especially that they're at home. So if you want to favor the home court advantage thing, then that is not a bad strategy, using Candice and Natalie. All right. We go down. I am not on anybody else other than Elizabeth Williams. Elizabeth Williams, 5.6 points, 4.9 rebounds, 1.3 blocks, and she's shooting at almost 35% from the floor. We'll stay on the cruncher to look at her. And if I find her, Elizabeth Williams, of course, like I said before, they're facing the #1 defense against the bigs. She only put up an 11th spot the other day, 23 minutes. So I would say that she is not in play just from those numbers. I would rather go with Natalie or Candice or Jessica or Angel. Any one of the two. And in this matchup here, no problem with having the team stack with Candice or Natalie and Jessica or Angel, or utilizing one of Atlanta's bigs and one of Indiana's bigs. It will work. Okay, moving on. Game number 2, we have New York at Minnesota. Implied totals here 156. Minnesota is favored by 8.5. I mean, I find that is a tough number for me. Just like tonight's game, I felt it was just too many points. You know, in tonight's matchup, 9-point advantage. But this is 8.5. It's a little steep, man. I don't like Minnesota's guards at all, so this is going to be really quick. Team stats for these teams are New York, 78.8 points per game. That's 7th in the league. They're 6th in offensive pace at 81.2. 1st in defensive pace at 74.5. 9th in rebounds with 33, 7th in assists with 18.4, 8th in steals 6.3, 8th in blocks 3.5, 8th in PPF 2s, which is percentage points from 2, 55.2, and PPF 3 28.1. They're 3rd there. The best part of the category that they have is the defense and PPF 3s. We look at Minnesota, 77.7 points per game. That's 10th in the league, so they're both near the bottom. Offensive pace, 79.9, 7th in the league. Defensive pace, 80.2, 5th in the league. Rebounds, they're there in the top. They're 3rd. Obviously, that's Moore, Brunson, and Fowles. Assists, 16.9. That's 8th in the league. Steals, 10th in the league, blocks 2.4, 11th in the league, PPF 2, 58.9, that's 6th, the middle of the pack of the league, PPF 3s, 21, that's 8th. So nothing really stands out here other than the rebounding with Fowles, Moore, and Brunson. As we know, that is Minnesota's strong point. Their guards, I mean, now with Augustus hurt with that hamstring, even if she's playing, it says game time decision here. on FanDuel, chances are she is not playing. Hamstrings are nothing to play with. You know, it takes a little while. And even if she wasn't 100%, I would not be on her at 4,200. Minnesota's backcourt is just, I mean, I don't know how to get it done, to be honest with you. So you definitely, if you're looking at anybody here from Minnesota right away, I'm not even thinking Whalen. I mean, we know Augustus is out. You're definitely going to have to step it up with Tanisha Wright and Danielle Robinson. I think Danielle Robinson and Tanisha Wright at 3,500 apiece. Both of them, one of them or both of them, are going to play considerable minutes here. I am definitely not on Lindsay Whalen. She should just go out and retire this year and go and coach her college team. But we look at the top, man. Shavante Zelios at 4,900. We need about 24 from her. She's averaging 20. Let's take a look at her in the cruncher a little bit closer. Where is she? Shavante. She's facing a 10th ranked defense, so she is definitely in a good matchup for herself to play well. When she played Minnesota early in the year, I think they played in the second game of the season, she put up 16 fantasy points in 20 minutes. So she's had an 11 and a 23 in her last two. She did have a nice 34 fantasy point game against Connecticut 3 games ago, but that was 30 minutes. Her numbers, her minutes have definitely decreased here, and she's not shooting a whole lot. I don't know whom to rely on this particular game, but I would think New York's backcourt definitely has an advantage here in this game today. So I mean, if I were you, I would definitely focus on Kia Nurse or Shavante Zelios. I like Kia Nurse better at $300 cheaper. Okay, she's a rook. She is averaging 13.1 points, 3.1 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 40% field goal percentage, and she's shooting almost 37% from 3. She has had a little bit of a downturn. She went off and running early. Looked really promising, really looked good, and then all of a sudden she started stumbling. Now she's gone 4 games at only 10 to 16 fantasy points. She's gonna have a breakout at some point. This may be the game, because when she played Minnesota the first time, as you can see here, she played 34 minutes. I don't know if she's gonna get 34 again, but she put up a 25 spot. So we know that she at least has some experience against Minnesota and has some success. So I am betting on that Kia Nurse is going to have a good game. At 4,600, 22 points you need, and she's averaging 21. She could definitely crush that. And she has already, as you can see, 50-point upside. She already got a 50 spot earlier. So Kia Nurse is definitely a fine play here in this matchup. Not in the entire slate, but in this matchup. Sugar Rodgers, I'm not on Sugar Rodgers. For $300 cheaper, I'd rather pay $300 more and be with Kia Nurse, who has the upside, is going to get the playing time, is the rookie, 10th overall pick. I'm looking at Kia Nurse or Zelios, and if I'm not going to have either one of those two, I'm going down to Bria Hartley. Bria Hartley, 9.3 points per game, 2.8 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 46% from the floor and 40.7% from 3. All right, 4,200. You need about 21, and she's averaging 18, and she's been putting 19, 15, and 18 over the last 3 games. Did play 4 minutes less in the last game. This is tough with the WNBA. I mean, as you see here, very choppy with not only some minutes, but also as far as points. So you just don't know whom is going to go off any given day. But you try to find the best matchups. This is a good matchup for the New York backcourt. I mean, if this backcourt can hang in here, this game will be closer. I don't see Minnesota winning by 8.5. I wouldn't even be surprised if New York beats Minnesota, to be totally honest with you. If these girls play ball, Kia Nurse comes and plays fairly well, and Zelios or Hartley or both. And then the front court with Miss Tina Charles and Coleman do their part there, they'll be all right. But I'm not gonna share anybody here from Minnesota, because I'm not on any girls here from the Minnesota team. We go straight to the forwards. Now is when it gets better. Minnesota's top girls here. Sylvia Fowles, 8,400. You need about 42 from her. That's massive. It's gonna be tough with this here, because she only put up a 20. What did she put up? 27 spot. She put up 27 against New York the first time around. Let me just double check that. Yeah, 27.2 in 33 minutes. She did have 11 big rebounds, 15 points. Didn't do much else. She didn't get the blocking and the steals here in that game. She's capable of it. But she is facing Tina Charles, and Tina Charles is one of the top bigs in this league. And I'd be honest with you, I'd rather go with Tina Charles here and save $600 or $700 and go with Tina Charles. Fowles, like I said, you need 42, and she's averaging 37. It's a hefty number to get here against Miss Tina Charles. I definitely like Maya Moore better out of the Minnesota Lynx players. But Tina Charles for New York, 7,700. You need 37, and she's averaging 37. She's averaging 37. She has 21.9 points, 7.3 rebounds per game, 2.8 assists, 1 steal, 1 block per game. Field goal percentage 46.8%, pretty much 47%. First time around against Minnesota, she played 30 minutes. She had 34 fantasy points, more than 1 fantasy point per minute, which is one of my favorite things to see in any of the games, is someone who can put up 1 fantasy point or better per minute on the time on the floor, because that's what we all want, right? Fantasy points. So Tina Charles definitely in play. I like her better than Sylvia. I like New York period better than Minnesota in this game. So hopefully they'll be able to play well enough. I am gearing towards those New York's backcourt and hoping the front court holds on here against Maya Moore. But Maya Moore is the better play here, 6,900. If you want to save $800 more and not go with Tina Charles, or not even go with her teammate Sylvia, you'll take Maya Moore. Maya Moore, 6,900. You need 34. She's averaging 29. Where is she? They're facing a second-ranked defense up front in New York, and that's all due to Tina Charles and Miss Coleman. She's averaging 17.6 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.4 steals, shooting 41% from the floor and 37% pretty much from three-point range. She put up a 36 spot against New York the first time around on that 78-72 win back in May 25th here. But she's doing the things you need to see. She put up a 30, pretty much almost a 37 against Connecticut the other day, 18 shots. And look at that, 8 shots from 3. She is definitely putting a lot of shots up there. That's over 20 to 24 shots per game. If you look at these numbers here, 7 threes, 6, 14, 19. Talking about anywhere between 20 to 27 shots per game between the floor and from 3. So she's a very, very big part of this offense. She's going to need to be tomorrow. I like her best. I like her better than Fowles. And I actually like her better than Charles, but I would not be at all opposed to having Charles or Moore, or having both of them in my lineup in a 3-game slate like this. Okay? Move down, Marissa Coleman. Nah, I'm not on her. You need about 25. She's averaging 18. And, for whatever reason, the last 2 games, as you can see here, 19 and 18 minutes. She did have a nice game in the last game out, 22.5 fantasy points. So that's pretty respectable. Nice stat sheet here, 1 steal, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 6 points. She's not a big scorer, but this is what she does best, is assist and rebound. And that she's going to need to rebound in this game. So if you're looking at any upside here, is that she is a very good rebounder, and she's going to need to rebound in this game. Let's see what she did in the first game against Minnesota. Yeah, she put only a 9.7. Only had 1 rebound and 1 assist that game. So she's going to need to do that tomorrow. If not, New York is going to have a tough go if Tina Charles has got to do all the rebounding. All right. I am not on anybody else here. Keep eye on Kia Vaughn. I'm not on Rebecca Brunson. She's another one getting a little older. I'm just not on her. 4,500 is not that bad of a price. You need about 22 from her there, and she's averaging 19. I just don't like Minnesota's backcourt. I'm not putting my money on them. I don't recommend anybody to do that. Let's move on. Last game, I do not have total implied totals for this game, as I didn't find nothing online before going to bed here now. So we will see. You're just going to have to be on top of that tomorrow. But this is going to be a fairly competitive game. Looking at team stats here, Connecticut just finished playing, so they're on a back-to-back. They're going from playing Seattle to going right away to play Phoenix. So tough 2 games in a row for Connecticut, but they are a pretty good team. We're looking at points, 92.4 points per game. That's first in the league. Offensive pace, 88.3. That's first in the league. Defensive pace, 82.9. Rebounds, 38.4. That's first in the league. 20.5. That's third. Assists, 20.5 per game. That's third in the league. Steals, they're 11th with 6. Blocks, they're third in the league with 4.7. PPF 2s, they're 4th, 58.3. And PPF 3, they're 5th. So, I mean, as you can see, very, very, very good numbers all across the board as a team for Connecticut. First in scoring, second in pace, first in rebounds, third in assists, third in blocks, 4th in PPF 2s, 5th in PPF 3s. Phoenix, 82.5, 5th in points. They're 10th in pace, 79.3. Offensive pace. Defense, 79.2 is third, so they're a little bit favorable there. They keep the game somewhere near close to the 79, 80 point range. 10th in rebounds, 30.9. First in assists, 20.7. But I kind of consider the teams even because Connecticut is at 20.5, and that's third ranked in the league. 7th in steals, 6.4. Second in blocks, 5.4 per game. 10th in PPF 2s at 53.8, and 4th in PPF 3s at 25.8. So where the matchups look good is Connecticut is definitely favorable in a lot of areas as far as rebounding, blocks, assists, and PPF 2 and 3. They're up in the top 5 in all those 5 categories. So you definitely want to gear yourself to finding a couple of Connecticut players. The only problem is that they're playing on the back-to-back, so we don't know how well they're gonna play after playing against Seattle, which was one of the top scoring teams in the league. So the pace was definitely high in this game tonight. So let's look at the players, and then I'll give you some insight there. We look at guard. Right at the top, we see Diana Taurasi, and like I told you guys before, I mean, Diana's been around a while, but Diana is in awesome shape. She's very physical. She is feisty. She's just a true competitor. So 7,300 for her. You need about 35, 36, and she's putting up 30. Pretty hefty price. Let's take a look at a game log. 31, 32 minutes. The minutes are there. She put up some nice points in the last 2 games, straight up points. Not enough everywhere else, where she needs to be a little bit better here. But she has 40, 45 plus upside. 25, 36, 36, 36. She was pretty consistent from 35 to 36 fantasy points for 4 games. She's in a good matchup here. I mean, that's for sure. Let's take a look at her in the cruncher. Yeah, Taurasi here. She's facing a 5th-ranked defense of Connecticut. And, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. 5 out of the last 6 games she has crushed value, or at least met it. The minutes are anywhere between 27 and 35 minutes. Massive shots. She's taking her threes. She needs to bury them a little bit more. But she's doing enough. I mean, I like her here. I definitely do like her here in this game. If you don't like Taurasi and you want to save yourself $900, then you take DeWanna Bonner. And I didn't even mention, Taurasi's numbers are pretty darn good. 19.5 points per game, 2.6 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 42% field goal percentage, and she's shooting nearly 35% from 3, which is a little low for her. I expect it to be closer to 40%. Then you got Bonner. Bonner's at 6,400. You need 32 pretty much, and she's averaging 32. So she's in a good spot right away. Like I said before in other previous videos, I right away put a little check mark next to that because at least I know that she's priced about right. So let's take a look at her a little bit deeper here. 5th-ranked defense she's facing. Okay, she has been in the red 4 games, has not quite met value, close to value, but not quite gotten there. Minutes have been good. Usage rate is fine. Shots have been pretty good. I think she just needs to take more shots. But then again, Taurasi's doing so well, and her price value has gone up so much because she's taking more shots and she's been more productive. So that's where Bonner loses a little bit more here as far as shots are concerned. As you can see, she got 19, 14 over here, 17. Then all of a sudden the drop has been late, only about 10 shots a game from the floor. So she needs to produce in other areas, and she's good at it. 15.9 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 1.6 steals, shooting at 47% clip from the floor. DeWanna Bonner is a good play. She's a good play. If you want to save 200 from Tiffany Hayes, then you play Bonner. If not, definitely Tiffany Hayes is the better play for $200 more because of the matchup she has against Indiana. We move on. Courtney Williams had a rough go tonight. I had her on most of my lineups. She definitely let me down. Courtney Williams will bounce back. Hopefully she'll have a better game tomorrow. I won't say I will go back to the well with her again right away tomorrow. I don't think I will be. I kind of like Bonner and Taurasi more in this matchup. And because they're coming from a back-to-back, I definitely going to have to possibly fade Courtney and Jasmine. But those girls are in play as far as price. Courtney, 6,200. You need 31. She's averaging 27. She's facing a 6th-ranked defense. She's been fairly good throughout, pretty consistent, good cash play. She has 40-point upside. She just had a bad game tonight. You know, she didn't get too much involved in the offense. She only played 27 minutes. And as you can see, the usage rate went from 51% back down to 15. And it's been like that, a little choppy, as you can see here. 32 here, 16. So, I mean, she'll bounce back. I mean, she only took 6 shots tonight. So maybe she'll save some of that. Maybe she saves some of her energy and is going to come out balling tonight. So, you know, don't sleep on her. I would say you definitely should keep an eye on her, but I kind of like the matchup better with Taurasi and Bonner, especially that they are home, and then knowing that these guys are coming from a back-to-back. All right, next person in line here, Jasmine Thomas, 5,800. You need about 28. She's averaging 25. She's putting up 15.4 points, 2.6 rebounds, 5.2 assists. Field goal percentage is at 42.5, and she's shooting 34.6% from 3. She played a little bit better tonight than her counterpart. As you can see, she put up the 52 spot. I did not have her in most of my lineup. I only did 5 lineups like usual. I had her in 1 lineup while I had pretty much Courtney in the other 3. And again, that's how it is. Sometimes you feel that both of them, and I had said it, either one of the 2 or probably both will ball out, and Jasmine Thomas is the one who did. I should have stacked them both, or I should have just used a little bit more Jasmine, but that's just the way it is. It's DFS. You just don't know who's going to actually take off, if they're both going to play well, if one is going to be better than the other. And Jasmine is the one who kind of like, carried away today for the guards for Connecticut. So awesome night for her. She's definitely in play. I mean, she's coming off a back-to-back. We'll see what she can do tomorrow. Like I said, I'm favoring a little bit more Bonner and Taurasi. I wouldn't even mind at all if I can stick them both together. And this is a game also, before I go any further, this is a game that you could also, target as a game stack. I could see it here. What's this game and this game? Atlanta, Indiana. They're both 2 games out of the 3 that I think are the best 2 games that you can go with a game stack. Meaning you can grab about 4 or 5 girls from that particular game, maybe 3-2 or 2-3, vice versa regarding the teams, and you should be okay. It's just a matter of hitting that right combination. The other night, I tried to do it with the Indiana and Atlanta, and I failed because I chose 2 girls that just didn't come off. We move on. We got Brianna. January 7.1 points, 4.1 assists, 40% shooting from the floor, and she's shooting 57.7% from 3. Granted, she doesn't take a whole lot of threes, but she's efficient when she does. She definitely buries them. At 4.3K, you need 21, and she's bringing in 16. And her last game out, 29 and 30 minutes the last 2 games, 15 and 15. So she's steady. She looks like she's good for 15 to 18 fantasy points. It's a little bit below her salary, or the price that they have on her. So I would not be so much on her because of that. Alex Bentley, we'll move on. Ms. Bentley, 4,100. You need 20 from her. She's averaging 18. That's pretty close. She's putting up 9.5 points per game, 2.2 assists, 1.1 steals, shooting 36, almost 37% from the floor, and she's shooting 93% from the free throw line. So she's the best free throw shooter on the team. You definitely don't want to put her on the line. It's just for me, I wish she would play a little bit more minutes. Like over here, she was carrying some minutes and she was showing some promise. So I was really played her a few times over here. I haven't played her since then. I would love to see the minutes come up. It's just right now it's kind of choppy. So to be honest with you guys, I mean, she's probably not in play. She didn't play, only play 11 minutes tonight. I knew I didn't see her much in the game because I watched most of the game. She may play more tomorrow because of the back-to-back, tonight, excuse me. So she might be in play if they decide to rest up a little bit on some of these girls, but I doubt it. Early in the season, some of these girls are young. They're going to go and play. It's going to be a tough matchup from a back-to-back, especially after facing Seattle and putting up a 100 spot, as far as points tonight. Shakina Strickland, strictly good for three-pointers. Not enough minutes there and enough points. Maybe not so much the minutes, but not so much points for the minutes, so I'm not on her. We go to the forwards. This is going to be fairly simple here as far as the forwards. We got Brittney Griner, obviously the top dog here, 8,600. You need about 43. She's averaging 40. She's definitely in play, guys. I mean, she's definitely in play. She's facing a 10th ranked defense up front of Connecticut. They're going to have a tough time, Connecticut, with this woman. There's no Alyssa Thomas. She hurt her shoulder in tonight's game, and she left. And Griner, granted, Shanae Ogwumike, she balled her butt off today. She had a career high, I think, in points, put up about 30 points. Jonquel Jones played fairly well. These girls are going to have to step up tomorrow and tonight, especially with no Thomas. I still like Griner and Sancho Little in this matchup, but I definitely will have some lineups with Shanae Ogwumike. I mean, she played better than her sister tonight. So I mean, I definitely like Shanae Ogwumike. But we're gonna look over Brittney Griner. Like I said, 20.8 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, 2.8 blocks, shooting 57.9, pretty much 58% from the floor. She's playing really, really well. She's had nice numbers here. The last game, I mean, this is respectable. 33 fantasy points in 27 minutes. I'll take that any day. The only problem is that if she was at over 8,000 in the last game and she didn't meet value, so that's a disappointment. Will she meet value tomorrow? She's in a definite good position to do that. Connecticut coming from a back-to-back, no Alyssa Thomas. That means that Connecticut is going to have to use some Jones or Tuck in tomorrow's game. Those girls are going to get a little bit of time, but it's obvious that Ogwumike and Jonquel Jones are going to get the brunt of the work. So if you don't want to pay up for Brittney, which I think is the best play of the big men tomorrow, then you definitely go with Shanae Ogwumike. She's at 6,800. You need about 34. She's averaging 30. She's very close. She played 34 minutes tonight, put up 30 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 36.8 fantasy points. Definitely would love to see those fantasy points a little bit more. If she would have gotten a couple of steals, it would have definitely helped. But she was so on with her offense, very aggressive, and it paid off. She put up some nice numbers. So good for her. Congratulations on her having her career high of 30 points from the floor. She has played 34 and 40 minutes respectively in the last 2 games, and in both games she has met not only value, but she's also have put up more than 1 fantasy point per minute, which is excellent stuff that I want to see. So yeah, man, I'll be willing to take a stab at her. I had her in my lineup, in 2 of my lineups tonight. She did well for me. It just wasn't enough to get me over the top. And I did have her and her sister both in one lineup, and she definitely outlasted her sister as well. Jonquel Jones, 6,100. You need about 30. She's averaging 20, pretty much 24. 25 minutes tonight, 21 minutes, nearly 1 fantasy point per minute. That's not a bad night for her. 10 points, 8 rebounds. She's doing what she does best, and that's rebound the ball. She blocks. She does defend and get some steals. She just didn't put up those numbers tonight. There was no blocks and steals tonight. She's not a big passer. This is pretty much what she averages. We're looking at her numbers right here: 10.1 points, 6 rebounds, and there you go, 1.8 assists, nearly 2 assists a game. That's about right. 1.2 blocks. Field goal percentage 52.2%, and she's shooting 35, nearly 36% from 3. Again, she needs 31. Is a little hefty. I kind of like Shanae Moore and Brittney Griner. I wouldn't mind taking those 2 girls if I could fit them in on the lineup. I think that's something everybody should consider. And if not, then you definitely are looking at the next person I'm looking on here that I think is a very nice play is Sancho Little. Sancho Little, 4,600. You need about 22, I would say 23, and she's averaging nearly 21. She put up a 29 spot in the last game against Dallas, 27 minutes, 12, 10, 2, 1. That's more than 1 fantasy point per minute. She's been close to doing that on the regular basis, 31-28 here, 24-20. She's just in a good matchup tomorrow. These girls are coming from a back-to-back. And then, I mean, she's priced lovely at 4,600. She put up that 29 spot, and she has 40. Does she have 40-point upside? 35-point upside. So I kind of like Sancho Little here in this matchup. Granted, there'll probably be a little bit of Ms. Jones or Ms. Tuck in tomorrow's game, just to maybe not beat up Shanae and Jonquel tomorrow for Connecticut. When we look at these games, right, like I said, game stacks, definitely Connecticut Phoenix. Couple ideas there. You could try to get Brittney in there and Shanae. Definitely get Sancho Little in there. I would say you take those 3, and then you take, if you could squeeze in Taurasi with maybe Jasmine Thomas, that will work. And then you can get the other 2 girls, 1 guard and 1 forward for one of the other games, like the competitive game, like Atlanta, Indiana. That's going to be the most competitive. Then if you wanted to stack Atlanta and Indiana just to give you a little bit of something there, definitely Tiffany Hayes is in play. And then you either take one of the Mitchell girls and leave the last guard for one of the guards over here in the Connecticut Phoenix game, like a Jasmine Thomas. Forward spot here, definitely nice place here. You can throw in there Natalie, squeeze in Natalie in there. You could squeeze in there Angel and maybe even a Jessica Breland or a Candice Dupree. And you know what? If you could squeeze all 4 of them and find value somewhere else, that would not be bad at all. Because I think these girls all are going to be fairly close as far as what they're going to produce. I think they're all going to be close to value. Maybe the one who might have a tough time may be Jessica Breland. But Candice Dupree, I think, is going to meet value. And I think Natalie is also. So those are game stacks. I'm not on any of the guards, like I said before, of Minnesota. This is not a bad matchup for New York if Zelios and Kia Nurse have great games, or a Bria Hartley. I do not like Whalen. I'm not on Prince. A sneaky play here would be Tanisha Wright for Minnesota, who's going to have to play because of Augustus being out. She's going to get some time. Looking on, what I've been sharing with you guys is some of the things that I use. Is I break down the teams. As I told you before, I gave you all the rankings, where they stand. What I do is I narrow things down. So field goal percentages, the top field goal percentaging teams in this slate is Atlanta, Connecticut, and Indiana. So you can gauge that as far as how to set up some plays. 3-point shooting, New York, Connecticut, and Phoenix are the top ones as far as 3-point shooters. so you can gear up and look at some of those players within that three-point range. You want some good rebounding that also produces good field goal percentage. Okay, and the rebounding could also help with blocks. Then you look at a couple big men. Then Minnesota, Atlanta, and Connecticut. They're 1, 3, and 4, respectively in the league. So there's a lot of good rebounding in this entire slate. But those are the three best in the slate: Minnesota, Atlanta, and Connecticut. So you can look through those guys, those girls there. When it comes to assists, you got the number 1 and the number 3 in this slate in Phoenix and Connecticut. So now you got some play there. You can narrow that down and figure out. So then afterwards, with blocks and steals, the same thing. After you have put this all together, then what I normally do is I narrow down which players give me a little bit of everything. And then look to see if they have a favorable matchup. And if they do, then more than likely that's how I start penciling them in. And that's pretty much my routine as far as WNBA, NBA, and even the MLB. You know, I look at everything. MLB, a little bit more variations. It's just a lot more things to look at. All right, that's for sure. That takes a lot longer. What I was sharing you and I didn't share with you in the last video regarding WNBA is FPPM plays. That's fantasy points per minute plays, which I always preach how much I love that. So I always look at that as well. The guard plays with best FPPM plays for this slate is Bonner with 1.01 fantasy points, and she has a 45-point upside, so something to look at. She has a nice ceiling. Then we have Taurasi at 0.92, so that's nearly 1 fantasy point per minute. That's 45, and she has a 45-plus upside. Then you have Miss Jasmine Thomas at 0.92, also with a 40-point upside. And then you got Tiffany Hayes at 0.90. Those are the 4 that I like as far as FPPM plays as guards. The FPPM plays that I like as forwards, Jonquel Jones is top here at 1.22 fantasy points per minute, and she has a 35 plus upside. You got Miss Sylvia Fowles at 1.21, and she has 50-point upside. You have Griner at 1.18 fantasy points per minute with a 50-plus upside. You have Angel McCoughtry at 1.12 fantasy points per minute, and she has a 45-plus upside. Tina Charles at 1.10, 45-plus upside. You have Shanae Ogumake at 1.09, 40-plus upside. You got Maya Moore at exactly 1 fantasy point per minute. She has 40-plus upside. And then I have Jessica Breland at 0.95 with a 35-plus upside. So those are the best guard and forward FPPM plays that I like going into the slate. So you can utilize that as another area, another statistical tool there that you can narrow down your decisions on plays here. Some of the best value plays as far as price is like Nurse 4.3, Hayes 4.2, Wheeler 4.2, Bonner 4, and Tiffany Mitchell at 4 as far as the guards. So I mean, and then we go to let's just move over here. When we go to the forwards, some of the best plays for value are Angel McCoughtry is at 4, so is Maya Moore. Candice Dupree is at 4.3, and you got 4.3 for Sancho Little. So she's definitely a nice value play. Okay, and then you also have Ms. Foles at 3.8. When we're looking at value plays as far as salary in the slate, obviously Sancho Little is the best play at forward that I have at 4,600 with a 34-plus upside. So you definitely, and she's in a favorable matchup against the 10th defense, so she's definitely a good play for you guys. When we go to the guards, the lowest price girl here that I have as a value play, also in a favorable matchup, is Bria Hartley, and then right after her is Kia Nurse. And like I said before, I really like the New York guards against Minnesota, because Minnesota's guards, they just start, they probably ball their ass off tomorrow and make me look bad, but they just are not that good. The Minnesota strength is up front, so New York should do well to stay in this game, as long as their backcourt is able to really, take charge and beat up on that Minnesota backcourt, which, I mean, they're not going to have Augustus, which definitely hurts. Okay. All right, guys, that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it. So just get all those things together, man. Hey, if you like the video, if you think this content is helping you guys, please share it with others. Drop a like to the video. I really truly appreciate it. I definitely put a lot of time into it. And at the same time, if you have not subscribed, it's the first time here in the channel. Obviously, I try to do everything I can to give you guys the best possible information so that you can actually narrow down your decision, bring your player pool down like I do from 40 or 50 plays to about 20, 25 plays, and then from that point you could be able to narrow it down even further with all these team statistical stats as well as individual stats. And that's pretty much it, man. So, I mean, good luck tonight on this slate. That's pretty much it, man. Good luck tonight in the slate. Hope you guys make some money, and comment down anything below if you want to conversate about anything. You're curious about a particular play or anybody that you may be considering on putting in your lineups. Just just drop a comment, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to return the answer as quickly as I can. All right, guys. All right, everybody, have a good night. God bless. Good luck tomorrow, and your boy Manny's out.